unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred.
What is up, everybody? This is Hater Radio. My name is Chris McLean. I'm here with my co-host, Ian Gibson. How are you, Ian?
I'm doing really good here.
Yeah, so it's a quick one today because it's only 2 games. And, you know, as we're going the last couple of shows, it's going to be really limited because we don't have as much to talk about because, you know, it's only a few games here left. So we have the college football playoff semifinals, essentially the Final Four now, because I would like it if they call it that. I don't think they ever will because the basketball has domain over that. But I don't know, the hockey tournament does it. They call it the Frozen Four. So maybe they could call it like the Football Four. I don't know, just something.
Gridiron Four or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, they should call it something because, you know, before it was just, you know, it was the semifinals, then the finals. But now it's like, they have so much more to the playoff. It's like, you know, you're getting closer to the end. I know it feels kind of like something needs to be there ceremoniously. I think they will. I think it's just this is the first year, so they kind of like didn't expect it to be, I don't know, the gravitas that it has. I like these matchups. I mean, we have 4 amazing brands of college football going up against each other. You've got Ohio State going up against Texas. You have Penn State going up against Notre Dame. Like, you know, you're reaching, you know, wide swaths of population bases all over the country. And, you know, it honestly is good for the sport to have in this first year these large brands there. I think going forward, you don't need it as much, but I think this proves that this tournament is creating the matchups that we want to see because, you know, to start the year, we definitely thought Ohio State was one of them. Definitely thought Texas was one of them. Penn State was maybe there. And Notre Dame was like on an outside looking in kind of team. So I think we've got what we wanted. And, you know, I'm excited for these matchups. So let's dive into it. Okay, the first game we have is on Thursday, January 9th, the Orange Bowl, Penn State against Notre Dame. I want to hear your thoughts first, Ian, before I go into mine. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is, you know, blue bloods against blue bloods going at each other. Notre Dame and Penn State both are trying to. I joke that both these teams are trying to throw it back to the 80s because that was the last time these two were, you know, won national championships.
Yeah.
Both play, ironically, a very similar style of ball. You know, Notre Dame's more predicated on running to the outside, running draws and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And same with Penn State, and they both have very solid defenses.
Yeah.
Penn State, obviously, we've seen how good that defense can be against a rushing attack. Genty by far is one of the best, if not the best, running back in the country, and they did a masterful job of, you know, containing him and making sure they did not get beat on the run, which is what Notre Dame did to Georgia. They just flat out beat them in the run game, running to the outside of the attack. So that's going to be the game plan for Notre Dame, is to try to go against those outside linebackers and cornerbacks on the outside to try to tackle them, which is easier said than done. I feel like both defenses are going to do a good job containing the run game. It's ultimately going to come down to who can make a big play, maybe on the passing department. If they can run, and whoever gets like maybe 4 or 5 yards of carry, set up these play action passes, whose secondary is more like settled in to stop that. I feel like in that instance, Penn State would be more okay settling in and stopping any of those attacks, because the only secondary they really got beat was by Ohio State, which, I mean, there's no shit. I mean, Oregon just got burned by Ohio State.
Yeah.
So it's a tall order to tell anybody to stop that. I feel like in this one, I would say if Notre Dame plays keep away, is averaging 5 yards a carry and making it third and manageable, they can win the game.
Yeah.
But we've already seen that a defense, as good as Riley Leonard is, it wasn't really like he can will his team to win, but he might need to do more because Georgia didn't really have that much of an offense to kind of complement it. Now, Penn State, not saying they're world beaters on offense, but I feel
Yeah.
like it's a more complete offense than Georgia had.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I feel like with that, man, I don't know. I feel like Penn State can do it. I seriously feel like with Penn State, because I feel like the secondary is more accustomed to these deep routes that they would try to burn Notre Dame would try to burn them on. I feel like Penn State would get it done. So I'm going to go Nittany Lions advance to the national championship. I'm going to go Penn State with the 24-21 win.
Yeah, I've been back and forth with this one because I didn't pick Penn State to beat Boise State, and I you would think like my logic would be they shouldn't win this game, but the more I looked at it, I mean, I looked at the stats, and they're pretty even for the most part between both these teams. Notre Dame's defensive stats are like unreal. Like they really are an amazing defensive team. And I think the weakness that I saw obviously is in the passing game with Notre Dame, that they struggle pretty severely there. But the other thing I've noticed that I just did a cursory look again was the fact that Notre Dame's red zone scoring percentage is like one of the lowest out of the remaining teams. They're 77th in the country, while Penn State's red zone scoring defense is like fourth in the country. And so like that is a huge factor because it's like when it comes down to like really the details of a game where it's like what is going to be like a separation here is going to be capitalizing on drives. Can Notre Dame capitalize on drives, which they did in the Georgia game? But I think this Georgia defense was one of the like worst Georgia defenses has been the last several years. So like Notre Dame was able to capitalize there against a team like Georgia. But I think this Penn State defense is a lot better. And, they only held Boise State to 14 points. And I think they can hold Notre Dame to somewhere around there, even though Notre Dame is one of the best scoring teams in the country. They're third best at 37.7 points a game. I think Penn State holds them to like 17, 18. And then conversely, on the Penn State side of the ball, when they have it on offense, I think Penn State can score enough. I don't think they have to score a ton. I think they have to score like, I don't know, 23, 24. And, that makes a difference in the game. Again, with the main reason why I feel Penn State's offense will do better than Georgia's offense did the other day was because Penn State has a two-headed running back committee that, really Georgia didn't really have. Georgia has ETN, but ETN only put up like 500 yards this year. Katron Allen and Nick Singleton, those guys are really good. I mean, they've put up a ton of yards all year, and they looked really good against Boise. I know Nick Singleton only really had that one run outside of the rest of what he did, but still, Katron Allen is a beast. And I think they're going to be able to run on Notre Dame a little bit, especially with the injuries that Notre Dame's dealing with, especially on the D line and some other guys as well. So like, it's definitely going to be close. I feel like Notre Dame has been playing very good the last couple of weeks and obviously proved it against Indiana and Georgia here. But I feel like Penn State's going to do it. And maybe now we'll lose the joking moniker of Big Game James. Maybe he actually is proving it right. And if he does win this game, I think if he wins this game and doesn't win the championship, I think he's probably gone past that Big Game James moniker, like jokingly. I think he is rightfully there because, like, getting to a championship game and they don't win, it may not be that end of the world for them because just getting there will be a big deal considering they haven't gotten into the playoff, in the full 10 years that it's been around. So, yeah, so I feel like Penn State's going to do it. I'm going to go with Penn State winning 23-18. I know it's a weird score, but I feel like it's going to be one of those weird ones where like maybe there's a safety or something, or like a bunch of field goals. I actually feel like that's what's going to happen. I feel like Notre Dame's going to be able to move the ball a decent amount, but Penn State's going to be able to clamp up and force them into field goals, and that might be the difference in the game. Okay, moving on to Friday's game, January 10th. Texas going up against Ohio State in Dallas in the Cotton Bowl. Ohio State is one of the most talented teams in the country, arguably the most talented. They've been mentioned as one of the best teams all year, and they're getting to the semifinals again for the third time in 4 or 5 years, which, considering they've lost to Michigan so many times, is a pretty good accomplishment. But Ian, I want to hear your thoughts, and then I'll go into mine.
So obviously, we've always discussed between Texas and Ohio State how good the offenses are. Ohio State with Jeremiah Smith and Will Howard, and those great wide receivers. We always talk about how good the offense is. Same with Texas with Quinn Ewers and Bond and all those guys. But again, and as I mentioned last week, the one thing that has been overlooked, and I mentioned it with both of them, has been the defenses.
Yeah.
Texas and Ohio State both led the SEC and Big Ten in yards allowed per game. So, and we saw it again, especially with we saw it with one half with Texas, let's be honest, because after the third quarter, it kind of went off the rails there. Yeah. But we saw it with Ohio State too, how really good this defense is. Texas only allows an average of 277 yards a game this year. Ohio State only allows 244 yards a game. So this is what I feel like who's going to have the better defense to, play out, force turnovers, or at least make more stops on this one. I feel like with that, Texas, they still haven't played. Seriously, it feels like they haven't played a full 4-quarter game in the last 3-4 games of the season.
That's true.
And that goes back to the Clemson game. They had a great first half, but Clemson came back in and they just fell asleep at the wheel. Same with the Peach Bowl. They let Arizona State back into it, and we're very lucky that Quinn Ewers has a great arm on 4th and 13. And obviously they had an awful game against Georgia, and then they beat A&M. Then the defense won that one. Defense has won a lot of these games. You're going to need the offense to show up here, especially against this Ohio State defense, because they just put on a clinic against Oregon on how to, stop an attack like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like with that, man, I don't know. Ohio State just kind of has proven more to me. I feel like with Ohio State's defense shutting down Oregon, because Ohio State's defense has been consistent all these weeks. Not that Texas hasn't. It's just when they are down in those moments, they get beat, and they get beat bad on those plays. I feel like with Ohio State, they're going to do what they did with Oregon. Chip Kelly's going to run a lot of motion plays with the wide receivers and try to confuse Texas. We saw the Georgia do the same thing to try to, jump on their counts. I feel like Ohio State's going to just find a way to smother Texas to where they're forcing it into predictable situations. And the Texas defense they're going to be on the field for too long, and they're going to be worn out. So I feel like the Buckeyes are going to find a way to get this one done. I'm going to go Ohio State. Wayne, I'll go with let's go with the 27-23 win for Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game is probably more evenly matched than the Notre Dame Penn State game. I think both these teams have amazing defenses. Not that Notre Dame and Penn State don't either. They do. But I think offensively, they kind of match each other too, because, these are two high-powered offenses that put up a ton of points. And, I think they're more diverse than both of those teams, because I think both Notre Dame and Penn State rely on the run a little more than these two teams. No, I was noticing that I was wrong about the red zone scoring, how bad um what is it? Notre Dame was. It's actually Texas's red zone scoring on offense is 108th. So they're the one of the worst in the country. And both Texas and Ohio State are the top two red zone scoring defenses in the country. So if that is something that may be a problem there, that may be a huge problem for Texas again. I mean, you saw it in the SEC championship game where Texas couldn't finalize on drives. They stalled out a little bit against Arizona State as well on a few drives. So maybe that is a huge factor in this game. Ohio State defensively is just amazing all around. And the only thing that they're lacking in is they're bad at forcing turnovers, and they allow QBs to have a decent completion percentage. I think, with this Texas team, Texas creates a lot of turnovers. So maybe that's a way for Texas to stay in this game, is if they can force some turnovers to be able to get some extra possessions. I don't know what I'm going to pick. Like I thought I was going to pick Texas coming into this game, like last night, and thinking about it. I want to pick Texas because I think Quinn Ewers is a better quarterback than Will Howard. And I think that actually might be the difference, because Will Howard has been prone to some bad games. And Quinn has as well, but I feel like, Quinn is an upper echelon quarterback, while Will Howard is not even being like mentioned that much for like NFL picks wise, like draft wise. Maybe he is. Maybe I'm not seeing it. I just haven't seen it on the stuff I'm seeing on my timeline on Twitter. So I like Quinn Ewers better, and I think that might be the difference. All being equal, which I think everything is pretty equal for both these teams. So I'm going to say Will Howard makes some mistakes, puts Ohio State in bad position, and then Quinn Ewers does enough to take advantage of it. I'm going to say it's another low-scoring game. I'm going to say it's going to be like 27 to like 24 Texas. And, I wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State does the reverse and it's 27-24 Ohio State. But I feel like that Ohio State will make a mistake here or there. Will Howard will specifically, and that'll be the difference in the game. Okay, those are the games. Those are our predictions. The games are coming up on Thursday and Friday. Enjoy those. We don't have too many left. After that, it's just one game, and then it's a championship, and then that's the season. So revel in this, because we have a long off season. We don't do shows after the season is over. We're not an off season show. We just do in season stuff. But again, reach us at haterradio.com for all of our articles. For our socials, we're on all of them. You can type in Hater Radio and it comes up for YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, Instagram, X, Twitter, for all those. Ian, what are your socials before we go?
Yeah, it's at G_Gator_G for Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. I also wanted to make a quick shout out. This happened on Friday night. Shout out to GJ Klein and Texas State taking over a program that did not have a winning season in 11 years. He has led Texas State to back-to-back bowl wins and 8-5 records, and number one in the Sun Belt in offense both seasons. Wanted to give a quick shout out to that one because a lot of people talk about famous turnarounds. I think that's the best turnaround in college football these past 2 years.
Yeah, definitely. Their offense is amazing. And shout out to that North Texas quarterback who had not played since like freshman year and like put up like 390 yards or something.
Record, yeah.
It was crazy. It was pretty similar to not exactly the same numbers as Kyle Trask, but similar story of
Yeah.
not playing until, several years. And, it honestly, sometimes it's amazing what will happen to someone if you're just there and you go through the process and you learn and, you figure out things and you get better at things. And, when time comes and you get your shot, Kyle Trask made the most of it, and he turned into a second round NFL pick, and he's still making money as an NFL quarterback. I know it's a backup, but he's still there on the Bucs team. Doesn't look like he's going anywhere, and it pays. Patient pays off. But that's it. That's the show. Okay, for all those socials and everything for us, please like, subscribe, comment, follow, share, do all the things to help us with the algorithm. We really appreciate it. We are officially up to 1,900 YouTube subscribers as of this morning. So we really appreciate all your support, everybody. So again, enjoy these games, and we'll see you on I forgot. I can't remember what day we're doing it. It's what is it? The games are Friday. Oh, Saturday. That's what we talked about. So we'll do a show on Saturday. And then the following show after that will be that Wednesday, because then the game is not until that Monday. So it'll be Saturday and Wednesday for the next two shows. And then the last show, I did want to mention this before we go, will be a live reaction show to the championship game, like near the end of the game. And that'll just be the end for the season. But thanks for everything, and we'll talk to you then. All right, take care, y'all.